Hi lovely and darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Library Wars Love and War, which is a manga series, and the art and writing is by Kiiro Yumi, and they're based off the novels by Hiro Arikawa. I am totally putting those names down in the description, and sorry if I mispronounce them. Um, so these are based on a set of novels. There are 15 volumes to this manga, and they focus on this war on censorship that is happening in the near future in Japan. Um, it's kind of an interesting setup, and it takes a little bit of suspension of disbelief for this to work. So, in the story, there was this Media Betterment Act passed that says that the federal government, the national government, can practice censorship, censor anything it wants, from the television to the radio, the internet. I think definitely they can censor books and magazines and stuff that are out there in the public, newspapers. They raid bookstores, um, and just whatever they deem not suitable, which can be political or like culturally not suitable, just anything they don't like. And the only real defense against them are these library forces. So there is this thing called the Library Freedom Act, which allows local governments, um, local libraries, to make their own defense force to combat the federal government, which is the part that kind of needs a bit of suspension of disbelief that you would be allowed to have a local government directly fighting with the federal government. Um, but the Library Freedom Act states the libraries have the freedom to acquire their collections. Libraries have the freedom to circulate materials in their collections. Libraries guarantee the privacy of their patrons. Libraries oppose any type of censorship. And when libraries are imperiled, librarians join together to secure their freedom. So this Library Freedom Act allows them to have this, and it is also the basis for a lot of the things that are happening in this series, the different situations where they're defending different parts of that act. From, you know, not disclosing what the patrons are checking out, or who's checking out what, or how much stuff is getting checked out. A lot of it centers around them protecting books, things that wouldn't normally be available to the public because of the censorship that's going on in the rest of the country. And so it makes a really interesting look on what censorship is and how censorship can be applied and how it can be fought also. But so I love that part of it. There's also this whole part about just how libraries operate and how that kind of looks in this war environment. From part of the training the forces take is to just be normal librarians. So they they learn how to look for books and shelve books and pull them off the thing and deal with customer service and do story time and all these different parts of being a librarian, like what goes into the collection. And if you're defending, in the process of kind of protecting books from censorship, that means that some of the books that in your collection might actually promote censorship, and do you protect them also? So I, as somebody who works in the library, I totally love that aspect of how the library itself operates. So how the library forces are set up is that there's kind of these three different sections. The one section is kind of what we typically think of as librarians, people who run the library, who deal with the books and patrons and the day-to-day running of the library. The second group is the library force, or the defense forces, which is this army, the foot soldiers, that kind of stuff, who's doing the actual fighting and shielding stuff. So the army branch of it. And the third is this elite task force. And they kind of have to deal with everything. They have to be able to deal with anything that arises, so they have to know how the library operates, they have to know how specific things in the library get done, from shelving materials to how we deal with books. But they also have to know how to do the fighting also. And they're kind of this group that's like the higher ranks, sort of, like the people who reach general or corporal or sergeant status. I think corporal is where they start off, never mind. Like the higher ranks are more likely to be the library, the elite forces, the people giving the orders. And so our main character, Kasahara, is the first female selected to be part of the library elite force, task force, which is really cool. And this is kind of, we start following her while she starts this training to be part of this elite force and see her take on this. And it's really funny. I really love these characters within this task force and the people around Kasahara. Um, so Kasahara is a fun character. She is tomboyish. She's definitely been considered a tomboy from the time that she was very little, and she always has her nose in a book. People make fun of her for kind of these two things not necessarily going together either. Like, she's active and likes to play sports and stuff, but she also enjoys reading, and so there are these idiosyncrasies in her character that is totally like realistic that would happen in real life, but like she gets made fun of this as a small child and even into like being a grown up. Um, her family also doesn't know that she's part of the defense fighting part of the library. They think that she's the library book side of things. So she's trying to keep that a secret. And just also not meeting everybody's expectations of what it means to be part of the elite forces. And she's like fast and strong and good fighting for a girl. And she's trying to get to the point where it's not just for a girl, like that she's just is like a really good fighter. She also didn't plan on being part of the elite forces, so when she was going through training, she didn't so much pay attention to how to shelve the books and the library part of things, and now she's having to play catch up now that she's on the elite force, and she has to go back and learn the things that she should have been learning to begin with. But I love her character, and she's funny and adorable and cute. I mean, it's a manga, so obviously. But she's also one who doesn't give up and is constantly trying, and if that means she has to spend every waking moment she has doing extra practice until she gets it right, she's going to do that, and she's very determined, and she also knows how to like think outside the box and see things from a different perspective, which is cool. Makes her a really awesome character. The other main character in the series is her instructor, Jojo, who, on the outside, is very harsh and mean and definitely like picks on her. But it's more of in a way to constantly be pushing her to do better. His tactics for doing that maybe aren't always the best from the outside view, but his actions definitely say something about how much he respects her and wants her to do well. Like, he's constantly cleaning up her messes and taking the time to break it down so she'll get it and going over stuff with her slowly, and constantly like praising her to the people above him. And it kind of surprises her, but at the same time it's kind of cute and adorable. There's also definitely this crush stuff going on between the two of them where they like each other but won't admit it, partially because of like he's her instructor, but also I think part of it's their personalities too. But it's adorable to watch their relationship and how they like will physically fight each other or like scream at each other in the hallway, and like Kasahara will definitely question him, and it's like a normal thing for them to just constantly be yelling at each other. It's really funny. We have the other instructor who is Komake, and he is kind of more what I would typically think of as a teacher character, where he is kind and helpful. He's a great side character. He also kind of sees the relationship between Jojo and Kasahara and is like, will comment on it and like, maybe you should try this, and try to like intervene between the two of them, especially when they're like so frustrated at each other they won't talk to each other. So he's a fun character to watch, and he's also like Dojo's best friend and has his back, which is cool. We also have the Asako Shibazaki. I'm gonna just call her Sako, who is Kasahara's roommate. She is one of the librarians. She does like the normal library stuff. But she's definitely a girly girl, whereas Kasahara is the tomboy. So we see these differences in their not only positions in the library, but also like their general outlook on life, um, and being a girl and female. But she's not just typically a normal girly girl, also, which is fun. And sometimes her library perspective helps the elite force, um, and they work together, which is cool. The last member of the kind of elite force is Hiraku Taz Tezuka. I really can't pronounce his name. Um, but the other guy in the elite force is a recruit. He's at the same level as Kasahara, and he is the straight A student who gets everything naturally. Is a really good soldier, but he is kind of afraid to not afraid to question his superiors, and so he still needs some work too. Like he needs to learn to be more of the leader if he's going to stay in the elite force. We also see like the major who's above them, Jenda, who is just really fun, and I love his character. Like he's really strong and tough and physically intimidating with like tons of muscles, but he's also kind of a softie at heart, and like he loves his crew and is thoroughly amused by them, especially Jojo and Kasahara's relationship and like how they're constantly fighting. He just like laughs it off. He's definitely a very good tactical guy too, and it's just this fun like addition to this group who's kind of there sometimes and kind of isn't, because he's not just in charge of these guys. He's in charge of a much bigger group. So I really love these guys and how like the characters and how they interact with each other. It's a lot of fun. Another fun part of this is that Kasahara joined the library forces because this book she was interested in as a child was there was a raid at the bookstore and they were trying to take it out of her hands, and then this library force member stepped up and saved the book for her and gave it back to her, and so she's been like this is her prince and her dream man that she is trying to emulate and be like when she joined the library forces. She wants to be like this guy and save books in this dramatic fashion. And she has no idea who her prince is, and she talks about him in this very romanticized fashion and how much she admires him and even that she loves him. And of course her prince is Jojo, which is pretty obvious from the art and stuff, but like she doesn't see it coming, and so it's funny like to kind of view that. More of art. So the art's pretty expressionate too, and how it changes pace and stuff, which I've seen in other mangas, but like and anime, but like how sometimes it's like these little characters. It changes style, and I love it. Very artfully done and keeping with the characters and what's going on and changing for like different emotional settings. I really adore the Library Wars. They are amazing. You guys should totally check them out if you love books, which hopefully you do because this is a booktube channel. So all of you should read this, obviously. Yeah, definitely 5 stars for all 15 volumes, which is pretty impressive. And I really loved it, all of it. There's also pretty good diversity for the fact that every single character is Japanese, like culturally Japanese and native Japanese, but like one of the main characters is in a wheelchair, and then we're introduced to another character who is deaf, and so it's cool to see how the society views them and how the library like to have this, like especially the one character who can't hear. She becomes kind of this major part story arc for a bit, and how important it is for her to have a library, and also her relationship with Komachi, which was fun. So yes, totally check these out. I really love Library Wars, especially if you love books, especially if you work in a library or against censorship. These are perfect and amazing, And I love all the antics and storylines and the way that the world operates and like fighting for information, and it's really just amazing, guys. Totally go check them out. Prince saving her. Just randomly saw that page. So adorable. So yeah. Peace out. I love you guys and keep reading. Bye.